Today I'm experimenting with my lights and I'm only using one softbox to light my face, so if this video looks a little different, a little weird, then you know why. Anyway, today I'm finally going to be talking about my favorite TV show this year and what's become some of my favorite pieces of superhero content so far, and that is The Boys. Specifically season 2. I realize I'm skipping a season 1 review / I was too dumb to just make a season 1 review last year, and I procrastinated literally until the next season came out. But The Boys is just such great TV that I can't wait. I need to talk about it already. It's already been about like a month or two since the finale, and I've got to talk about this show, guys. I love season 1, and I have been anticipating season 2 since I finished season 1, which was in about a day because I binged the whole thing. Last year, they actually put out all the episodes for people to binge, but this year they decided to release it weekly, which I think really helped the show and really gave viewers something to look forward to week to week and help build hype towards the finale of the show. But remember, guys, this is the internet and this is comic books, so of course we can never have anything nice, and a bunch of, well, people who are dumb as shit review bombed the show because they didn't like it being released weekly and they wanted to binge it, which is just the dumbest thing ever. I mean, people, please think deeply, critically, consistently, and from different angles before you do something, anything really. Please, why hurt something that you love? It's ridiculous. But season 2 itself was truly a wild ride. We pick up with the boys in hiding and on the run from just about everyone, all while trying to bring down Vought with the help of Starlight, of course. We see members of the Seven go on their own little personal journeys as well, and actually introduce a new member to the Seven, Stormfront, who is shaking things up, to say the very least. Now, I still can't decide which season I think is better or which one I prefer right now. Season 1 did a great job of introducing us to these characters and their backstories and actually making us care about them. And I'd say that season 2 has done a great job of digging deeper into who these characters are. We learned that Kimiko actually has a brother and how she's been mute ever since her parents died in this kind of like internment camp that they were in when they were very young, hence the special language only her and her brother can understand. And I thought it was very interesting because when we see her brother, he's probably only in the season for like an episode and a half, maybe 2.5 episodes, and they make him out to be this soup terrorist when in reality he's just a kid who got the compound V injected into him just like her. In fact, the reason why he got injected with the compound V is because she survived it. They knew that he could. But in the episodes that transpired with him, you get a lot of sweet and touching moments, a lot of backstory from Kimiko. Even though we only meet him for 2.5 episodes, when he does eventually die at the hands of Stormfront, you really do feel it, and you feel for Kimiko because the rest of the season she's just struggling with the death of her brother and all of the misinformation out in the media right now, and also she's just biding her time to get revenge. As far as the other members of the boys goes, Mother's Milk, his main goal other than bringing down Vought is just to be able to go and see his family again safely. We actually learned that Mother's Milk has like some pretty crazy OCD, but in my opinion, any person that is out there promoting the use of wet wipes, guys, is doing the Lord's work. So you know, OCD it the fuck up. And you know, those wet wipes, I can only imagine how in handy they came after that scene with him and Love Sausage in the asylum. Crazy shit that you can only expect from the boys. I never thought I would ever see that scene in anything. Anyways, besides clearing his name, Frenchie is always trying to deepen his relationship with Kimiko, even though he actually kisses her in this season and he almost sees the great beyond. We find out that Frenchie has kind of a drug issue and a history revolving around drugs and the people that he's been close to, and how that kind of lifestyle led to their demise, some of his own personal tragedies, and as well how he even got mixed up with the boys. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't think we got a lot from Frenchie last season, but I think this season we really got to see a little bit more from him. Speaking of drugs, A-Train finally wakes up from his compound V induced coma, and I don't know if anybody else noticed it. They probably did. It's probably like in a new Rockstars video already, but A-Train, even while in a coma, has a fresh ass fade going. So I don't know if that's like a part of his contract with the Seven and Vought, that like he needs to be fresh at all times, but I'm guessing he was getting his hair cut even while he's in a coma, which is pretty badass, pretty baller. And when he does wake up, he's having problems with his heart, and due to these issues, he actually gets cut from the Seven mid-season, which is foul as hell. That's just how big companies do. And we find out that A-Train is actually in some serious debt and he does not want to go broke again. Like literally he can't afford to go broke again. So he spends the rest of the season trying to rejoin the Seven by joining the Church of the Collective, this like weird ass Scientology parody that seems like it likes to collect protect these washed up superheroes and tries to redirect their careers. And the leader of this cult has this weird obsession with Fresca. I don't know if you guys remember what Fresca is. If you watch the show, you do. It's gotta be like the lamest drink that there is. Like, it's the most old person drink I think you could buy. Don't get me wrong, I've had a few Frescas in my day, but I mean, what the fuck is a Fresca, dude? Like, who the fuck drinks Frescas? Like, it's just so fucking funny. Like, a Fresca, like, love that. Huey and Starlight share similar arcs this season. Both of them obviously trying to take down Vought and expose them while awkwardly holding in their feelings for each other all season long. We see Starlight's mother trying to reconcile with her for lying to her about Compound V for all of her life, and I really like that. I think that was good for Starlight's character. She's one of the characters this season, along with like Huey, that I felt kind of took a back seat in this season for other characters to kind of get more shine. Although we do find out more stuff about Huey. The reason why Huey is obsessed with Billy Joel is because he used to listen to that music with his mother, and we find out that his mother is actually still alive and that she left him, I guess, when Huey was younger. So we could very well, and I think it's very likely, like maybe next season, I think we're definitely gonna see Huey's mom. That should be very interesting. Now, as far as like throwaway characters or characters that took a back seat in season 1, Black Noir has never got a lot of the attention from this show. He's that silent, physical, comedic character, which works great. I think that Black Noir, whenever he is on screen, his physical comedy works very well. But in this season, we kind of find out a little bit more about him, a little bit more than I thought we would, honestly. We find out that he is at the beck and call of Stan Edgar, which is basically Giancarlo, just in a different show. Is he not the same character in every show that he's in? And we all still love it. I still love it. I don't care. Let him do that a million times. I'm cool with that. When Compound V was revealed to the public, we see Black Noir sobbing in the Vought Tower in some hallway, and he seems legitimately crushed by this. So this kind of gives us the insight that, hey, he was kept in the dark about what Compound V was and that he had taken it when he was a small child. The way he was sobbing, it's kind of like he felt he was some kind of miracle to himself. I think that's interesting. That's a very interesting insight into Black Noir. And I think that goes a long way with physical characters, like characters that don't talk much, but they express themselves with physical actions and movements. That kind of storytelling, it can be very insightful. So I actually really like that. But I'm not so sure we'll delve deeper into that whole relationship, because during this season, when Black Noir confronts Starlight and they have this whole fight scene, which ends with Maeve sticking an almond joy down his throat, we find out that what is Black Noir's weakness is his nut allergy. Dude's allergic to the nuts, to these nuts. I think that was pretty funny that this insanely powerful guy is brought down by a nut allergy. Again, it's not confirmed that he is dead, but if I had to put my money on it, I pretty much assume that nut allergy shit, it's serious. Speaking of Queen Maeve, who is Queen Maeve in this season, I absolutely loved her this season. Now, after I saw season 1, she kind of took a back seat, and I thought that this was going to be one of these characters that I really didn't care about. Like, she was very inconsequential to me in that first season, even though she had some very powerful moments like the one on the plane. But I didn't think I would ever care for Maeve like I do now, because she is amazing this season, okay? Maeve gets so much attention this season, and we get so many emotional moments with her, so many deep moments. We see her rekindle her relationship with Ilana, and when Homelander finds out about it, he makes her life a living hell in the way only Homelander could do. From coming out for her on live TV, putting her sexuality as the focal point to the Seven movie that they were filming. He even takes a jab at Joss Whedon, which was, I thought, so brilliant. The guys who write these shows are absolutely brilliant and so like in touch with everything. That was such a low-key joke, because this whole movie is basically a parody, and you know, the Seven itself is a parody of the Justice League, and that was just such a good line. Just the not giving a fuck in the ruthlessness of Homelander when he's like, girls get it on instead of girls get it done. He is just so despicable, and it's just insane. And Maeve devises this plan to get that footage from the plane and use it to expose Homelander if he doesn't leave her and Ilana alone, which I think was great. Also, at the very end, Maeve comes in clutch. She saves everybody's ass this season, okay? She comes, she whoops Stormfront's ass, stops Homelander from wrecking Butcher and taking Ryan away. That's just awesome. Queen Maeve. I'm putting Queen in front of the Maeve. She earned that title. I can't wait to see more of Maeve. And the new addition to the show, Stormfront. Obviously, we all knew she was gonna be a villain. I don't understand how people, and I guess people don't want to look up the comic book origins. Like me, I'm really big on finding out who these characters are before I watch these shows. I'm not 100% one of those people that just wants to be fully surprised once they watch the show. I did my research and I knew that Stormfront was gonna be what she was. I mean, even if you don't do any research, you gotta know that this new person is not going to be a good person. Yeah, she ended up being a fucking Nazi. Crazy, she was ruthless. Like everything that she did, like she just killed no matter what, like inconsequentially. Like she wasn't sparing with anything. She was killing families, knocking people that she sees out of building walls, like just the craziest shit. And she was ruthless and she was crazy. The dynamic that she had with Homelander was insane. Plus that super fucking crazy scene, and you know what I'm talking about, in Vought Tower, that was just hilarious, guys. They're knocking each other down, throwing each other into furniture. That was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in any superhero medium. Just hilarious. But Stormfront, obviously, there's really not much about her. She kind of manipulates Homelander throughout the season. At the end, she gets what she deserves, saying a bunch of dumb shit about they just don't like the word Nazi and, you know, white genocide and all these things. Even Homelander was like, what did you just say, bitch? When Homelander gives you that look, something's up. I think she was a great character. I think that she was a sinister villain and she was good for the show. And I'm not entirely sure that she's actually dead. And I think, honestly, if I'm being honest, guys, I'm calling it. She's gonna be alive in some facility somewhere. Maybe she'll heal up. And I have a feeling Homelander is gonna, you know, have another one of those scenes with her while she's like that. This show is so grotesque already. I think there is no way in hell we don't get that scene in season 3. I'm betting on that. And before we get into my 2 favorite characters, I gotta talk about my 3rd favorite character of this whole series, and that is the Deep. So since Jason Momoa came around and actually made Aquaman cool and kind of a badass, putting to rest decades of jokes about the character and his powers, I'm sure Eric Kripke felt that there was still a comedic gold mine in making fun of a guy who can talk to fish. And Chase Crawford plays him beautifully. At the very beginning of this series, he's a douchebag. And at the end of this series, he's still a douchebag, just a little bit more self-aware and accepting of himself. The first season, we get to peek a little bit into the Deep's insecurities about himself and the gills when he hooks up with that girl and she makes unwanted advances in his gills, which, you know, serves him right for what he did to Starlight. And so when we move into season 2, he actually fully addresses that on this mushroom trip, which it was hilarious. The gills are actually voiced by Patton Oswalt, which I thought was hilarious as well. And we see in season 2 his attempted redemption arc where he confronts his insecurities all while trying to rejoin the Seven. And he does that by way of joining the Church of the Collective. The Deep is one of my favorite characters because of just how ridiculous he is and how many other people find him just as ridiculous. Like the infomercials that he shoots for the Church of the Collective when he goes in to give Maeve a hug and she's like, no way. Homelander using the Deep toy to help Ryan use his heat vision. How quickly he congratulates A-Train after he just like shitted on him and sold him out. I just love that character. I really want to see Chase Crawford on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think he could really nail being a character in that show with his dynamic. I think he would have great rapport with the rest of the characters. I also want to see Aya Cash, the lady who plays Stormfront in It's Always Sunny. I think she would do great as well. The Deep is just hilarious to me. And when I think of ridiculousness and hilarity, Billy Butcher does not come to mind. And Butcher is one of my favorite characters on the show. I think he's one of the most complex characters. His story and his background are, you know, very emotional, very deep. He has probably the best motivation in the show for what he's doing. All he wants to do is get back the life that he had. All he wants is his wife. And last season, he finds out that his wife is alive. So he's not gonna stop until he does get his wife. And he has to deal with a lot of things this season, like his wife kind of getting cold feet a little bit because she has a son and she doesn't want to leave him. And she's also conflicted because she loves Butcher, but she loves her son. That's her son, Ryan. But it's also part Homelander. So it's just, there's so many complexities to everything this season. It's so crazy to see and it's so emotional. You learn more about the relationship that Billy has with his family, why he treats Huey the way he does because he reminds him of his brother that passed. You meet Billy's parents. We do a lot of meeting of Billy's family, and I think that was very good to see that. Kind of humanizes his character a little bit more when, you know, you're in such a ridiculous type of world. So I really enjoyed seeing that. And at the end of the series, when Ryan kills Stormfront and, you know, accidentally kills his mother, we see this kind of complexity with Billy Butcher because at first he wants to listen to this woman. She knows that he has this thing against Soups, but she's trying to tell him like, that's my son, he's a good boy and he's obviously not an evil kid. Take care of him, make sure he's all right. And you see that moment where he's like, he's gonna go and attack the kid. He's not gonna do shit to him, right? Because he's Homelander's son. But that was such a complex moment because I was like, is he gonna listen to her? What is gonna happen right now? It was crazy. He had the had the devil in his eyes. I think he was just such a great character again this season. But ladies and gentlemen, there's one last character that I have to talk about, and this whole video would be in vain if I did not talk about him, and that's why I saved him for the very last, okay? Homelander. Homelander was again the best character of this show. He's been the best part of the show since the show began. He's the most complex character. He has the craziest motivations, great character design, everything. Lines, dialogue, everything. It's great. My personal favorite. You can really tell how much fun Anthony Starr has while playing him. Give him all the Emmys, give him an Oscar. He should get what he deserves. He does such a great job with this character. Homelander is a sick, twisted, maniacal, sadistic, etc., etc. The list can go on all day. But he has these moments of insane vulnerability where his humanity is on display and tangible even. You root for him to do the right thing and to somehow be redeemed. Although Anthony Starr has gone and said he doesn't think that Homelander should be redeemed, we're all rooting for that. At least I am. When he's talking about his childhood, when he's talking to or about his son, you can tell he's coming from a genuine place. When Stormfront blows him off and lies about where she was and he throws that fit and just blows up everything in the trailer, you can tell he was genuinely hurt by that. When he found out that Maeve had moved on, but not just moved on with a woman, he kind of questioned himself like, oh, did she ever really love me? I mean, he was still hung up about that relationship in season 1, but now he is just completely destroyed, and that's why he's trying to destroy her life, because he feels like, was that ever even real? Like, why did we even break up in the first place? He has a bunch of shit going on through his head, and he's a spoiled little kid, and he wants her to suffer just like he's suffering. When he's talking to his son about dealing with his powers when he was younger, some of the troubles that he had, some of the conditions that he grew up in, when he's talking about his son and not wanting his son to go through the same things that he went through, that's genuine. When he tells Ryan that he loves him, he truly does. And you can tell that Homelander wants Ryan to say it back, and Ryan kind of expresses some love for him at the end of the season when Homelander does tell him that in that like log cabin. It's very complex because that changes at the very end of that episode. We still don't know how Homelander feels about Ryan, but you can tell that he does actually love him, and it's probably more so what parents always do. They try to make up for the things that they never had and try to right the wrongs of their childhood. I think that was actually very human and very nice to see of Homelander. And I've said this plenty of times on my social medias, which, you know, you can go follow, but Homelander just genuinely wants to be loved. People either fear him or are manipulating him to try and use him to their benefit. So he never really knows when somebody is really being genuine with him. And I think that's also why he likes being evil, because he knows for sure that people are acting the way they're acting because they fear him. And I guess that's some type of genuineness to him. A lot of what Homelander is just for show. It's not real. It's a front, which really adds to the sinisterness of the character. He's supposed to be this beacon of light, but he's this sick, depraved dude. He'll put on this smile and he'll talk to you very nicely in such a calm, wholesome way, and then he'll do something absolutely atrocious. And I think part of what adds to that fearfulness of Homelander is that Anthony Starr himself is a Kiwi. He has to put on that American accent. He's not naturally a blonde. He has to dye his hair blonde. So I think a lot of what you're seeing is something that's not real. You're waiting for the real thing to come out, which again adds to that sinisterness, that fearfulness. You know, you never know when he's gonna snap, which is part of the fear that you get with Homelander. That as well adds to the sorrow of the character. He needs to repress so much of what he is to portray this image, this thing that he believes he should be and that the public wants him to be. That's really the only way that he gets what he wants, which is love. The public wants what they see, but that's not really him, and that must kill him as well. He is just such a complex character. At the end of this series, when we see him looking for his son, he kills all of the Vought dudes. He's genuinely a dad trying to find his son. At the end, when he does see Ryan and finds that Ryan killed Stormfront, we see that part where he calls him a little shit and everything, and you know, it looks very sketchy. I don't know how things are going to turn around next season. I don't know what's going to happen with Ryan. Ryan, I feel like, is going to be the person who's going to take down Homelander in the end. He's the only one who can actually do anything to him that we discovered. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about just the millions of moments, Homelander moments, that we've had this season, okay? The milk. The milk is hilarious, guys. When he's drinking the milk like a baby. He gets caught with the milk. Just hilarious. When he's like, William? And he does like the Hannibal Lecter thing. That was golden. That's probably one of my favorite Homelander moments, besides I can do whatever the fuck I want from the first season. Just classic. Everything that he does. He's just such an asshole. Telling the Deep to hide his gills and like, oh, you'll be back in the 7. Sure. He is such an asshole, and I love it. Him being so insecure because he's losing points and losing favor with everyone when he's looking at the memes. That's such A1 material, guys. I probably missed some Homelander moments. If you're a Homelander fanatic like I am, please let me know your favorite Homelander moments. I know that I didn't say all of them. That's pretty much it for this review, guys. I'm still undecided on which season is the better one. If I'm being honest with myself, I think season 1 probably technically a lot better, but I'd say that season 2 was a lot more entertaining. A lot of the characters that took a front seat in this season were way more interesting. I think all the characters became a lot more interesting. Let me know what you thought of The Boys, whether you liked the weekly schedule that they had going and you want to see that continued, or you just want them to put it all out so you can binge it in one day. Let me know who your favorite character is. If you're a Homelander fanatic like I am, please let me know. And I hate that I have to clarify this. Something that's kind of my own personal philosophy that I'm using in this particular situation with such a horrible character like Homelander is he's understandable, just not acceptable. Take that for what you will. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. One more thing, guys.
Fuck Fresca.